Hello, everyone. I'm here today to talk to you about one of the most common scenarios that occurs in most IT teams, right? This is where when there is any sort of an outage or there's performance issues with regards to a mission critical application, there's a lot of finger pointing that occurs between those IT teams, right? And this, again, does have a negative or direct impact on the productivity, the morale, and then finally the revenue and reputation of the organization as well, right? So let's first talk about what are some of the common causes that lead to this finger pointing between the IT teams, right? The very first one is the lack of communication or collaboration that occurs that exists, right, within those IT teams, right? When you have IT teams that are working in silos, right, that's where they are blaming each other, right, when a problem occurs, instead of trying to work together to solve a problem, right? And this could actually happen, right, because some of the IT teams may have different priorities and objectives, right? They're focused on their areas, they're focused on their priorities, their goals, right? So when problems occur, they think, oh, this is not my priority. This is not something I need to focus on. So they just leave it there. And that's what leads to a lot of finger pointing as well, right? Also, when there is the lack of organizational transparency that exists, right? Where the teams may not have full visibility or even partial visibility into each other's activities, the processes, the philosophies they follow when a problem occurs, right? So when the problem occurs, obviously they're going to be blaming each other, right? And then the other cases, right, is when teams, right, they have a lack of accountability and ownership, right, for anything that they do, right? When they're not held responsible for resolving an issue, right? That's where they say, oh, this doesn't matter to me. I'm not going to prioritize this. I'm just going to leave it alone, right? So that leads to a lot of finger pointing, right? So what can organizations do, right, to address some of these issues, right? Obviously, my recommendation is to encourage the collaboration that takes place between the different teams, right? Sharing of information, sharing of best practices, sharing of feedback of in terms of what they observe, right? Even if it's in their silo, sharing it with the rest of the organization, I think that will go a long way in avoiding that finger pointing as such, right? Also, I would recommend that the IT team leaders, right, they set clear priorities and objectives for those different IT teams so that everybody is working together, right? And there's no conflicts, right, that are taking place when the problem occurs, right? And that could call for efficient resource allocations and deadlines and timelines that may need to be modified, right, across the different teams to achieve that common objective of resolving the mission, the issue of making sure the mission critical application is working fine or not, right? And then finally, I would also say it is very important for IT team leaders to ensure that there's transparency that exists between the different teams, right? Get them to talk to each other, have regular status updates, get insight into each other's processes, each other's daily activities, their initiatives, what critical projects are the different teams working into. I think by having the transparency across the different teams, right, that will go a long way in avoiding that finger pointing, right? So that's all I wanted to cover today. Hopefully this was helpful to everyone listening to this video. Thank you.